And maybe the one thing that you need to do, and like I had to do, was I had to stop being so realistic. And I had to say, you know what? If I can dream it, I can have it.
And what the people that are making these posts don't realize is that if you're a part of a good system, a part of a good organization, you're inviting people not to follow you,
Amen.
right? Not to actually learn everything from you. You're inviting them in as a part of a system where you guys can learn together how to become better. Learn together from a proven system that's already been laid out. Like, insurance has been proven for how many years? Like, is there success in the insurance industry? And they say you shouldn't recruit anybody unless you know how to be successful? What, am I going to be the barrier for those guys' success because of my limited capacity to talk to somebody or to recruit somebody or to train? Like, why does that limit this other person's opportunity? Like, invite them into a system. And so that's one of the things that I appreciate about you and the organization that you represent, is that you understand there's a system that you're inviting them to, and you're inviting them to do it with them, not for them, not have all the answers for them. You're doing it with them. And so there's power in that. But let's talk about, let's dive into and talk about these 5 strategies you've got for building a 7-figure agency. And I'm going to let you riff on this because when the people listen to it on the 2 times, when they're taking notes on the second time, we're going to get these down, okay? And we're going to create some a track record or a system to build $1 million agency. Go. It's all yours, brother. What are they?
Awesome. You want me to name them off, or
no? You can hit them one at a time. I would hit them one at a time from the top. Yeah. Just what are the things that you know are vital to build and scale a business?
So I want to say, first of all, I'm forever grateful. I couldn't thank the owners of our company enough, because they created these systems. I'm just a good student.
Mm-hmm.
I study speaking. I want to be the #1 speaker in the universe. And so I can't say the world, because Eric Thomas is the best speaker in the world. I want to be the best speaker in the universe. So, but without Brandon Ellison, Brian Pope, and Casey Watkins, they've implemented all these things. And I just became a good student.
Mm-hmm.
TD Jake said the other day I was listening to one of his audios. He said the best speakers are the best students.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have to learn it and regurgitate it. And so I just became a wonderful student.
Mm-hmm.
And so all I am is a homeless guy who listened and did exactly what I was told. That's it. Now people still come to me and say, man, there's Marlin, the homeless guy. I'm not homeless anymore, guys. I have a really big home.
We're
we're members of a golf community. We're going to build our dream $1 million home. So I'm not homeless anymore, but I was. But these are things that I'm just a homeless guy.
Yeah.
I just follow the system.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with me most of my life, and the problem with most people, is they delineate from the system.
Correct.
And if you'll follow the system to a T, if the system's working, then why can't I? So number 1 is culture.
Culture.
The number 1 thing you have to build a 7-figure duplicatable business is you have to have culture. I think culture eats talent for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I say that? I'll give you 2 examples. My first conference I went to with Symmetry, they brought a woman on stage. Her husband had just died. He passed away from an accident, and she didn't have her insurance license. I saw the owners, Brandon, Brian, and Casey, step in, and they said, we're going to hold your husband's commissions. They could have taken the commissions. They said, we're going to hold the commissions until you get your license, and we're going to help teach you and guide you on how to run that business.
Wow.
Now, listen, I'd only been home about 2-3 weeks before I went to this conference. I'm texting my wife, babe, this lady lost her husband, and they're going to help her out. They're going to take her out. See, culture eats talent for breakfast. And my wife texts back, good, I hope you don't die. No, I'm just teasing. She didn't say that, but she probably wanted to. I'd only been home 3 weeks, but what I saw a company that cared more about people than they did about money. What I saw was a company that cared more about lives than they did about where they were ranked as far as best companies. The next thing that happened, this just happened. I talked about this at SWAT. I have an agent, Anna Burton. She texted me on March 25th, because I was speaking at Symmetry's National Conference, that she just had her baby. And 2 Fridays ago, I was at the SWAT financial event, And I got a text from her before I went downstairs for breakfast. She said, I need you to call me. She said, my baby just died.
Mm.
And to hear a mother cry over losing a baby is one of the hardest things I've ever had to live through. And what I saw from our team, because she's a part of my team, our team rallied around her. And I called the owners from Symmetry and said, hey, this is what's happened. We just want to let the company know we're going to try to raise money because they didn't have enough time to put insurance in place on the baby they were going to. To date, right now, we've raised over $8,000 for her, and just so she didn't have to pay for her baby's funeral. The remorse we heard, money's not everything, but at least in that moment when we're at the funeral, we can hand her that check and say, here's one thing you don't have to worry about. Yeah. And so when I say culture, we just have a positive culture that we promote growth to everybody. And so to have an agency that's gonna do seven figures, you have to have a really healthy culture. I didn't understand that, Roger.
Yeah.
When I got insurance, I thought, let's just sell policies, go make a lot of money, and we'll grow, and we'll be rolling around in money, and this will be. That's not the case.
Yeah.
I've seen people come in here that were great producers that weren't really ethical, or they didn't really care about people. They didn't make it in this culture. That doesn't mean they couldn't make it somewhere else. They just didn't make it in this culture. And we got people that they want to make a lot of money, but they care about people, and they care about the lives of other people, and they care about making an impact in America and changing the world we live in. They do great here. I mean, I've got a lady right now that's just, she was a principal of a private school, Christian private school, never done insurance before. She's only been here 6 months. She wrote close to $40,000 last month. You know, the number one reason she's here, she said, I got on a call and I love the culture. So I think number one, because everything's not for everybody. You got to find where you want. You got to find what fits best with you. But we know, number one, before anything else matters, we know that people matter the most and people come first.
That's very
so for
well
us, we believe in culture.
So for agents out there, you need to be connected to an organization that offers that culture, that has the culture. If you are it, you have to create that culture, and it's hard to do on your own. It's very hard to do on your own. That's why there's so many people with these big contracts and they never build a team. They never have an organization because they don't have the support mechanisms, the culture, the family, the environment to attract people to. It's them. I mean, the light is shining on them, and if the world doesn't like what it sees and they see you grinding, and it lacks that opportunity for people to be a part of something bigger than an individual. And so I respect that. I respect that, man. You invite people in the culture. And Marlon, I know from your personality and how you love on people. I just hung out with you that night across the street at that restaurant. I don't know what it was, what that restaurant was across from the hotel venue there when you were there with Hayden and Coach Burt walked in, and there was a whole bunch of other people there, and we were talking. I could tell by just how you were interacting with people and how you're loving on people and how you're smiling and how you're encouraging people. You're one of the key factors of that culture. So I respect that, and that's why you're even on the podcast with us today, because I wanted people to hear that in you. What's number two, man? What's the second key?
Well, I'll say this. I've created something. I don't know if I said it or I stole it from somebody, but I get to say it on here first, so I won't think it's mine. So I don't even care.
Sure.
But I heard one time as ROI, return on impact, and I coined that because I always want to return on what I'm doing. So what I'm doing has to be great and has to be good because the returns always come back to you. I really believe in reaping and sowing, and so I want to put out goodness so I get goodness back. I want to put out love so I get love back. I want to put out good energy so I get good energy back. And so I will always want to have an ROI. I always want to return on impact. And I think culture is the number one way to do that with people because let's face it, we're all living life. You don't know where someone's at when they come into your business.
No.
Right? Mm-mm. Like everyone tells you they're feeling good about life and they're wanting a new opportunity, but we know that's not true. We know life gets in the way. And Chris, for me, it's return on impact is what drives culture for our team, and we've got some phenomenal people. Number two, duplication and scalability. I've been a part of organizations. I've been in insurance companies where I saw individuals that were very high functioning and made a lot of money, but not as much as they could have if they could figure out how to duplicate themselves. Here's the problem. Here's the problem I had most of my life. I was so busy trying to be somebody else that I didn't know who I was. So how can you duplicate yourself when you don't even know who you are?
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of people not knowing who they are. So they go somewhere and they just do what's there. Well, when you have a culture like this, it's phenomenal. The reason that there's been so much growth is it's duplicatable. What Nate said to me, I can say to my agents. What Brad Smith told Nate Offord, Nate can tell me, I can tell to my agents.
Mm-hmm.
What Edward Pritchett told Brad Smith, that told Nate Offord, that I told me that I can tell to my agents, you have to be able to duplicate it. The problem with most businesses, think about this. If I wanted to go start my own business, I would have to come up with marketing costs.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to come up with staff. I would have to come up with leads. If I stay in this business, I would have to come up with trainings.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to come up with processes. That costs a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And
that
time.
costs a lot of money.
And time.
And time. And time is more valuable than money.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to come in here and they already had a duplicatable system, what that allowed me to do was that allowed me to run as fast as I could. The reason that I didn't do that before was because I was never comfortable in the culture. It never felt safe. If you're an agent and you don't feel safe running as fast as you can, maybe you're in the wrong culture.
Mm.
Or like Rogers, maybe you need to create the right culture. I just knew that I was in a place where I couldn't create that myself. I had to be loved on. I'd come out of an abusive childhood. I'd gotten to a place where I was negligent to my wife and kids. So I was injured and I needed to be healed. And what culture did was gave me a hospital. What duplication did was it gave me a track that I could run on as fast as I wanted.
And it sounds like it gave you a cause, right? It gave you a purpose and a message to share with people. That's a powerful thing because you're healing on one end and you're sharing that healing with other people.
I always gave back. I believe that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And so if I heard something, so I would start doing personal development. So here's one of the keys. I'm not going to talk about this, but because some people believe this, some people don't. I was doing about when I got started here. Edward Pritchett, my mentor was making $50,000 a month. I was homeless and broke, and I just come in this business. I knew I couldn't catch him if I didn't read and watch audios and listen to audiobooks. I couldn't catch him. So to speed it up, I had to listen to more audios, read more books, listen to more audiobooks because I was so far behind. I was 37 years old and I was broke. But I had time. That's why time is so valuable, Roger. So I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I would listen to an audio. I would read. I would meditate. And I would listen to guys like Tony Robbins that says you're the sum of your 5 closest friends. That's your net worth. Well, remember, I was homeless. I didn't really have big friends. So my friends became Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Earl Nightingale,
T.D. Jakes,
Jim Rohn,
all those people.
T.D. Jakes. All these guys became my best friends because I was always listening to them in the morning, in the car, on the way home, while I was sleeping. So I had to do my personal development. Why? Because I couldn't catch the people in front of me thinking the same thoughts that I was thinking. Here's my kind of 1A to culture. Because I came into the culture at the company that I did, they were a company that was doing personal development. So that became my cause. I couldn't be I wasn't the number one recruiter. I wasn't the number one producer. But what if I could become the number one personal developed guy?
Love it, dude.
What if I could read more? What if I could do this more? So why on the duplication and scalability? Because there's a bottleneck in every company. And I used to hate problems. I used to run from problems. One of my best friends, Brad Smith, he brought Nate Offord into the business. He always tells me people get paid for the problems that they solve. He said the janitor in a company is solving a different problem than the CEO. Now, here's the difference. You treat them both the same. You just realize they're both solving different problems. What duplication does is it removes bottlenecks. Here's the question you have to ask yourself. Here's the question I ask myself. If what I'm doing today, if I can't teach 100 people to do the exact same thing, I need to change.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes, man. I'm taking notes.
we all know good hamburger restaurants, right? You were telling me about this place,
right.
Sling and Blaze Pizza. That's unbelievable there. I can't wait to get up there to Louisville. I'm coming, Louisville. Get ready for me.
That's right.
We're gonna turn on fire. But listen, my wife probably makes a better pizza.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But if she doesn't have a duplicatable system, it's just another pizza. If you're a phenomenal agent and you can crush it and you can recruit or you can write business, if you're in a system that's not duplicatable, are you just another good agent?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my fear. You want to insult me? Call me good. Like, I don't want to be good. I want to be phenomenal. I want to be the best at what I do. I want to be the best at everything that I do. And so if I can't do that because I can't duplicate myself, then how do you grow? I drove up to Chick-fil-A. The owner of Chick-fil-A, I don't know if he's passed away. I think his son owns a company now. He spoke at my college graduation. And I didn't even know what Chick-fil-A was. It wasn't a big company then.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think I saw that they're the number 2 QSR, quick service restaurant in the world, and they're only open 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because they're culture and because they're duplicatable.
Truett Cathy. I think he passed away just a year or two ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Phenomenal system, man. Phenomenal system. It's probably the best. Yeah, you pull up, you go down the highway, or you go down you get off at an interstate, and you pull into any town where there's Chick-fil-A. The lineup is like twice around, and they have people outside walking with the cars. And next door to it is an Arby's with 2 guys out there having a smoke in the drive-through lane. Right? One's got an unbelievable product and an unbelievable system. The other one, meh.
Right. We are not sponsored by Arby's.
We are not sponsored by either one. And I'm sorry if you're an Arby's owner and you're getting into the insurance business, but that's how I feel about those systems.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they both serve food, right?
They both serve food.
They're both in the quick service restaurant industry.
Yes.
And one of them has jumped from being around a long time and being average or being upwards, and the other one came out of nowhere and they moved to number 2, and they believe they'll be number 1 in the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. Why? Because of their culture, because they're duplicatable. I drove in one day and they had made, because they have the drive-through lane, they had made other drive-through lanes with cones.
Correct.
So they had 5 lanes wide of drive-throughs.
Correct. You feel like you're going down the interstate in Atlanta, Georgia with like 16 lanes. I mean, that's what it's like now at a Chick-fil-A. Duplication, man.
Here's the kicker. They're reinventing what's already been invented.
Yeah. Yep.
They just found a better way to solve the problem. Right. And so that's what duplication does. It allows you to solve a problem that allows the masses to be able to get in front of you, and allows you to get in front of the masses. And so number 2, I think, is you have to be duplicatable. When Nate Alford told me that I need to get me on the phone with 20 people in the next 7 to 10 days, that was duplicatable because, Chris, you know what I said to my first agent, Derek Brock?
What's that?
You want to be successful here? Do you want to do it 5 months from now, 5 weeks from now, 5 days from now, 5 minutes from now?
I need you to get me on the phone with 20 people in the next 7 to 10 business days.
I need you to get me on the phone. Here's what he taught me. It taught me, number 1, success goes fast. People that are successful are always moving. They're always moving. They're always doing something. And number 2, it taught me not to doubt. Because I could have said, why not 10? Why not this? Why not that? Why not this? I know this. I was homeless. I was a homeless guy that knew nothing. Mm-hmm. I duplicated what he said. So for those people that say you need to wait till you're good to recruit, I didn't. I recruited from day uno. My mentor, and what I did was we were some of the fastest to the top of the company. I think I made it to the top contract in just at 4 years.
Boom.
Just at 4 years.
Great, man.
I made it to the top of this company. And my first month, Nate Alford did 50,000. I did 2,700. Not because I'm good, because the system's good.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's keep it rolling here. You're dropping some serious science, man. You are the professor today with those glasses. So let's hear it. We got 3 more things we're going to give our people, and we're going to give our listeners. What is the 3rd key to building a 7-figure agency?
Yeah, you got to have good training. Here's what most people. So we live in a technological. I can't even say it. We have a lot of technology.
There you go. You said it.
That worked. We'll edit that other part out.
I'm always overcoming problems. you got to be able to train your people. Here's what I love. When I was with another company, and they sent me away for the weekend, and they did a training where they never let us role play. They just talked at you for 2 days. I really didn't learn anything, and it was no wonder I didn't have success. And when I came here, Nate Offord and Brad Smith and Matt Smith put together this system where we called it the 10 steps. And so if I had a brand new agent call me up and say, hey, I'm stuck at this, what do? I said, go to step number 4. Because if I carry Brian Delaney, one of my best buds in the world, he told me this quote. He said, if I carry you on my back, my legs get stronger, your legs get weaker. And that's what I'd done. And so what we did was what Nate Offord and Matt and Smith did was they created a system called 10 steps that we had audios and videos on how to enroll in the business, how to buy leads, how to recruit, how to write your first piece of business, how to write an application, how to submit your app, how to check your pending business, how to call your clients back. We had 10 steps, and I can learn at my own pace. And what would happen is I would call Nate Offord and say, well, what about this? What about that? And he said, didn't you watch the video on step number 4? And I said, no. He said, well, go back and watch it and call me when you're done. And he forced me to stop jumping on his back every time I wanted to piggyback ride. Yep. He taught me to get stronger. He taught me to learn more. He taught me that when I learn it myself, it's in there forever. When I hear it from someone else, it's in there. But my subconscious doesn't have it yet.
Correct. Yes.
That's where you want it, in your subconscious. And so training is important. So we have audios, we have videos, we have scripts that any agent can at any point in their career go to and refer from. What does this do? This allows me to go to number 4, and this allows me to have good conversations. This is the big one. I'll end with these last 2. This is big. Here's why. Most people, if they call up interest, and if you're doing interviews like this, I just do them different. I was taught by Brad Smith, by Edward Pritchard we do them different. When you allow people to train on their own and they're growing, here's the 2 things that I remember. Number 1, I don't manage people, I mentor movement.
I love that line.
Again, I don't manage people, I mentor movement. So if I give you a task and you call me back and you haven't completed that task, I'm just duplicating what my mentor did to me. If I hadn't watched the video, he said, well, call me back when you watch it. I got to go. I'm busy. You teach people how to treat you.
Mm-hmm.
So what that taught me was go do the work yourself. Number 2, I got to have different conversations. I guarantee you most conversations, if people are trying to get into insurance companies, when they talk to the person, the interviewer on the other line, they're telling them the same thing. We can give you a good contract. Yeah. Well, we've got leads. We can give you this. We can give you that. What do you want? Those are the conversations they're having.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's different. If you have a training system that allows people to, and we do trainings, we do live trainings, we do webinars, but the brunt of it, we want people to learn on their own. Why? Because they got to have a dog in the fight. The conversations I have with people, because I learned from my other mentor, Brad Smith, is what do you want out of life? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Chris, I can just feel, I imagine how it's going to feel when you hit the top of this company and you're making $100,000 a month. What's your wife going to think about you?
Yeah, that's planting some stuff, man.
How are your kids going to look at you? See, the conversations I have now are different. It's not about who you are, because again, remember, you can become more. It's about what do you want out of this thing called life?
Mm-hmm.
And what that does was that takes me back. See, this is cylindrical or cylindrical. That takes me back to a good culture.
Centrifugal?
It's one of those words.
So you don't have to be
Circular?
Circular? Circular. It's a circle.
You can say circular. No, you don't have to be smart to make a lot of money. You have to be smart, but you don't need to have great vocabulary. I know that.
That's right. You got to surround yourself with smart people. But that takes me back to a good culture, because now I'm saying, look, hey, I know I just hired you, but I'd love to get on the phone with your wife because I want to meet her. I want to hear what her dreams are for you. Hey, how many kids do you have? What are your kids' names? The conversations are different when I don't have to train you all the time and tell you what to do and tell you how to do it. I expect you to do that on your own. The expectations are huge, but I can have different conversations. Roger, what's it going to feel like when you're on vacation with your wife? See, because Roger, I'd never taken my wife on vacation until I got to Symmetry Financial. I'd never taken her on vacation.
Wow.
In 2019, we went on 10 vacations. 6 of them were paid for by companies. And I'll never forget my first vacation. We went to Dorado Beach. My mentor of all mentors, Edward Pritchett, bought a house there. He's a Puerto Rican. And we went there the first time and we walked into this room. Man. I'd never given my wife anything to be proud of me for. I'd never in my life. And I'll never forget when Brad Smith asked me, imagine what it's going to feel like when you can take your wife on vacation. It's paid for. We walked in the room, Dorado Beach, and my wife just looked at me and she told me she loved me. I wouldn't trade that moment for $1 million. But I remembered back to the conversation when Brad asked me, imagine how it's going to feel if you've never been on a vacation where you didn't have to pay for anything. I'm telling you, it feels incredible. I can't explain to you what it feels like. But that's what I was fighting for. The money was good, but I was fighting to take my wife on vacation. I was fighting to be able to take my kids to Disney World. I was fighting to be able to take my kids to Puerto Rico like we did 2 years ago. I was fighting to take my kids to DC. That's what I was fighting for. I didn't care about the company. I didn't care about contract level. I didn't care. I cared about my wife and kids. That's what I care about. That's why I wanted to win. And so when I'm talking to a brand new agent, I want to know what they want out of this thing called life. And that's what I want to help them get. Because when I hire someone, they don't work for me. I work for them. See, I tell them I work for you. I want to find out what it is you want. And my job is to help you get it. That's what I do for my agents. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional.
Man, this is the real stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't want the fake. We didn't want the fake Marlin. We wanted the real Marlin.
No joke, man. Yeah, that's life to life, brother.
That's strong, man. I love that idea, Marlin. Having conversations, and you listed it as a big one. You don't manage people; you mentor a movement. You get to have different conversations with people. Let them get a dog in the fight. You said, have different conversations. You're not. Your conversations are not about what they do, but your conversations are about who they want to become and how it's going to feel when they get there. Right. And it's not about telling them all the time about how to fix the problem. It's about who they want to become in the journey of learning how to fix their own problem, using the system and leaning into you guys to do that. I mean, that's powerful stuff right there. That's strong. We could end right there, but I know you got one more. And I think you left the best one for last, and most people, I think, miss it. We talked a little bit about it, and I know you feel super strong about this. When it comes to building an agency, doing something that's bigger than yourself, it's going to require this. So what do you got here for us?
This is the biggest one. This is the best kept secret. Most people don't know this. I had to call my mentor right before I called you to ask him, hey, Nate, can I talk about this? Hey, I know that there's a lot of things that we do different than other people. Listen, you don't have to do anything that we said. This is just this is the success that we've had. I have 11 agency owners. I've helped 11 people get contracts where they're making really healthy passive income. And so this is the last one. You have to be able to edify someone other than yourself. The way I say it is this, the secret sauce is you got to be the zero before you can be the hero. Your job is the zero, so point everybody to the hero. And the hero points everyone back to you. And as you follow the hero, I turned around one day and I looked up and I stopped being the zero and I became the hero. And edification is something that most people don't do. Because everyone wants to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
Can we define what that is? Because we're using a word now that's probably not very common. Edification. We talk about that.
I'll give you an example of it. So,
what does that mean?
Edification means I'm gonna lift up, or I'm gonna give the credit where credit is due.
Perfect way of saying that.
I'm just a homeless guy that followed some directions. There's nothing great about me except that I was created to be great.
Mm.
But someone had to show me that was inside of me. So when I tell somebody, here are the most 3 powerful stories. If you're recruiting and you want to build a team, I always recruit telling, number one, I always tell my mentor story. I'm either talking about Nate Alford, Brad Smith, Matt Smith, Edward Pritchett, or the owners of the company, Brandon, Brian, and Kat. I'm always telling someone else's story because it's not attractive to talk about yourself. I always tell my
even if you're having
story.
massive success, it's not attractive.
Even if it's not attractive. People want to know that they can duplicate it. Here are the 3 things people are asking. You better be taking lots of notes. Number one, they're asking, does this work? That's what everybody you interview, everybody that wants to come into your business, that's what they're asking.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, can I do this? Is there room in there for me? And the real question, the reason we focus on conversation so much is because they're really asking, can I trust you? Can I trust you with my wife, with my kids, with my bills? Chris, people have been hurt in America. They're running for this American dream. It's become an American nightmare.
Right.
And there are few people who find it. Cody Askins has a thing called 8% Nation. 8% of insurance agents will make it. 92% will quit. There's not very many of us, right? So the difference is I'm always telling my mentor story because I don't have a story when I got started. This is how you can recruit from day one. I'm gonna tell this secret. You tell your mentor story. He knows all the answers. When you get better, you start to tell him your story a little bit. I followed a guy. I got good enough to do this. And the third thing people want to hear is your people story. Who have you helped? Who are you following? How did it affect your life? Who's following you? That's the secret sauce.
Very good, man.
Because most people won't do that. So I never want that. You guys realize the more you talk about yourself, the bigger the target is on your back. Like people are waiting for you to fail. As soon as you do, I knew it. But Nate Alford did 50,000 his first month. I did 2,000. I want to get you on the phone with my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
This dude wrote 50,000. Well, what'd you do? Well, I'm just getting started. The best time to recruit is when you're getting started.
Well, you don't have to be good to recruit.
No, you shouldn't be good.
You just have to point. You just have to point to someone else who is.
Nate Alford said you got to be a good traffic cop. You ever been to a football game?
That's a great way.
I know Kentucky is not known for their football. Oklahoma is, but I'm coming to Kentucky. I'm coming, baby.
You want to talk basketball? You want to talk basketball? You want to talk basketball? We can talk.
I'm a football guy.
We can talk some
I'm
sports.
I'm a football guy. I don't talk about. My wife's a basketball player. I'm the football guy. But when you go to the game and you want cheap parking, you got to go to these parking lots. They got someone standing there pointing you where to park.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I became. I love speaking. I love motivating, but all I did was follow the guy who was following someone else. And all I'm asking the people to do is follow me.
That is
that's what people.
Go ahead.
That's what people are wanting to know.
Do you have a follow-up question? Because I got like a whole bunch of questions around that.
You go ahead. I just love that statement, and it's not done enough in our culture. It's not appreciated enough in our culture. The idea of giving credit where credit is due. It's almost like we absorb credit, and movements die as a result of it. It just ends when it becomes us and it becomes a part of ourselves.
On a practical level, Marlin, can you kind of break down what that looks like? I know those are big ideas, but like in a practical sense, if you're trying to build a business, how can you leverage this concept of telling your mentor story, giving credit? You're inviting someone new into the business. You're trying to show them the business. How does this idea of the best kept secret in the world, edification of someone else, how does that play out in practical terms, and what happens as a result of edification given?
The best thing about it is whenever I edify the right people, Nate Alford or Brad Smith, they edify me back. So now a new person doesn't know who the greater is. I'm pointing to him and he's pointing to me. You know what they're saying? I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of a company where people no one's taking credit, they're giving it away. Mm-hmm. What the practical part of that is, people are drawn to movements. This is not an insurance company. This is a movement to create people who love people to get a return on impact. So the practical part of it is when you do it, you draw so much attention that you're not even aware of because people really begin to watch.
So by giving attention away from yourself, you draw attention to the movement, which is attractive. But by trying to draw attention to yourself, you repel people
That's powerful,
away from the movement, which is unattractive.
It's unattractive.
It's like counterintuitive to what most people are trying to do in the world.
That's exactly right, because the world says a different story. But I'm just telling you what I've lived. I was a homeless guy, and I'm 6-7 figures. I was homeless. I don't know if that could work for you. I know what I followed. I followed.
You said this so many times. I mean, that is even saying it now. I mean, it's clear that this is part of your DNA. It's a powerful messaging tool for sure.
Well, here's why, because I got a second chance at life. I wonder how many people out there driving in their cars, listening on the radio, listening on the podcast, watching this podcast that are really thinking deep in their mind, man, I need a second chance. If I just had one more chance. So when I got here, my thoughts couldn't be my own.
Yeah.
My thoughts couldn't be my own. My thoughts got me broke. If you want to follow Marlin, my thoughts will get you homeless. Chris, if you want to be homeless, come follow me. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts. I know how to ruin marriages. I know how to be a horrible dad. But I had to learn all the other stuff that wasn't me, and they weren't my thoughts. They were other people's thoughts that were having success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, listen, ask my wife if it's better that I took someone else's thoughts. Ask my kids.
Yeah.
Ask my son that he walked out to his 16th birthday, and I took him to the car lot, and we showed him this car that was probably worth $1,000. It was beat up and bad. And told him he was going to get that. And then we went home, and he went in the house, and he came outside, and he had a 2003 Hummer on it, black, because that was his dream car with the red bow on it. Ask him if it matters. If you talk about yourself or if you talk about other people, when you're really confident, you don't need the credit. I don't need the credit. I got everything wrapped up in a wife and kids and friends who love me now. I definitely don't need credit from strangers. There are enough haters out there that are going to hate that. It doesn't bother me, but I want to make a return on impact.
Marlon, I know you said, I was homeless. And most of the people that are getting shown the insurance business are not homeless, right? They will have, maybe a misfortune, or they found themselves trying to do something that didn't work out. They're changing careers. Some people have had some moderate levels of success. You just said you attracted a principal of a private Christian school. I know that there's other people that are in the business that we met last weekend that are dentists, and their dental assistant, who actually runs their office, is the upline manager in the insurance business. And now the dentists are in the business with them, actually helping people put insurance in place and showing the business plan because they love the culture. They've been attracted to the movement, right? We got to meet these people. And so, like, when people come in with some moderate levels of success, sometimes it's easy to say, just do what I do. And I think that's a big pitfall that most people can get into. And I think that's where this idea is you have to become good first before you can attract somebody, because they're going to be looking at me. But the power in your story is you always say, don't look at me, look at the system and the pathway that's been created, and let's do this together. And when you do that and you give that edification and that credit where credit is due, those people appropriately give it right back to you, which makes you look like a superstar. And it was never trying to draw the attention to yourself.
I was never trying to draw attention to myself.
Man, that is the best kept secret in the world.
It's the best kept. Most people will hear this and they won't do it. So then I can tell it, because most people aren't going to do it. They think it's hogwash. And listen, this month I'm on mission to recruit 100 agents direct to me this month.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mission this month. I write my goals down every day. I mean, that's what billionaires do. I write down my affirmations. My first affirmation is, I am successful, because I write down my affirmations daily. It's not about me, but I can show you can have what you want here. It's not about look at me and see what I've done. look where I've been. You're probably better than me. You
Mm.
probably can have more than I have.
Mm-hmm.
You can probably become more than I become. You can probably, you know what? Imagine how it's going to feel when you don't have to go driving around looking for gas prices. I had an agent ask me the other day, can you believe how much gas has gone up? And I laughed out loud. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. This is from a guy who would drive 30 minutes out of the way to go get gas that was 2 cents cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
This is for a guy who never filled his car all the way up for 7 years. Like that's what I'm talking to right now.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud because I said, I don't remember the last time I looked at a gas price. I don't, because it's not about me. I'm helping other people win.
Yeah.
I had someone help me. Why would I not give back?
Mm-hmm. Marlin, you got on stage. You gave 2 or 3 different talks, actually. Like, I was taking notes the whole time I was there. Like, I know you said you were taking notes when I spoke, and I was taking notes when you spoke. And we're like, I got to get to know that guy, because I'm attracted to people who want to make an impact. And, and we wear it, be a difference maker. The challenge to be one. Look what he's got on there, Chris.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
Check that out.
Baby, be one.
Check that out. The difference maker.
Every day.
Love it.
So, and I'm attracted to people who want to do that. And I saw you, and every time you got on stage, you edified and spoke about the opportunity that was extended to you and how grateful you were and how forever in debt you would be to the man who was hosting the event. And yet, you have so many of the success principles that you know that you could rattle off, and you could do your own events, and you already do your own events. And yet the whole time you were there, you gave that away. You gave those principles, and you gave that credit where credit was due. And it's a powerfully attractive thing to get around people who are humble enough to point. It does create that movement, man. And so that's what drew me to you, to help you. And you stood on stage, and then you said this, and I'm going to put my goals out there. I believe in short-term targets, and I want to recruit. I want to add 100 new agents to our agency this month, in the month of May. And because of that attractiveness, and because of your audacity, that's a Les Brown. I mean, he uses that word over and over. If you ever listen to that, the audacity, right? If you ever listen to that Les Brown, that's one of his words. The audacity to put your short-term goal out there, to make yourself accountable to hundreds and hundreds of people that were not only in the room, but people who heard it last week in our podcast, because I mentioned it last week. And then you had agents calling you up and say, hey, I heard your name mentioned on a podcast somewhere. And you're like, I got to get on this podcast. and it attracted me to you to say, we got to help Marlin hit his goal. We got to help Marlin hit his goal, to tell your story, to push that story further, because there's a lot of people who may not be homeless, but they are hopeless.
Yes.
And your physical state and where you're sleeping at night does not predetermine your mental or emotional state. And inside of all of us, there's another gear. There's a calling for greatness. And I believe anybody listening all the way through to this podcast, or if you've watched these videos in sequence to get to this one, you know that deep inside of you, there's an opportunity, and there's a knock. There's a knock, and it's a hollow knock, and you hear that knocking, and there's an opportunity. Yeah. And you guys need to reach out. There's greater things to be had. So if you're in an organization and they're encouraging you to grow, lean into that. Lean into the good relationships in that group that you're with, and say, how can I contribute? How can I contribute? If you're out there and you're listening to this for the first time, I'm going to recommend you call this guy up and say, hey, what can you do? What can you do to help me become hopeful instead of hopeless? Man, powerful.
And one thing I want to say in regards to this, as far as like this edification thing, maybe it's new to you. Maybe you've never done it, and
maybe it's not in your family culture. Maybe it's just something that's it's just not been a part of anything you've been a part of.
Here's a good practice. Here's something you can do. Make a list of people you've had an impact on your life. A small impact. Maybe it's a small impact
that they've had an impact on your life.
Yeah. And call them and say thank you. Maybe that's the spark. That's the start of this, to where you can start getting comfortable and starting to see the movements and, of a good God who puts people in your life, who you're ultimately edifying and thanking, and start to move through the people who have spoken into you. And you can start to see hope of, man, there's been some great stuff that's happening, even though maybe I'm not so hopeful right now, but maybe some great stuff that's happened to bring me to a point where I can say thank you. Thank you for life.
Man, it's powerful.
I want to say thank you to you guys. When meeting you, Chris, and you, Roger, every time I was around you, you were always smiling, and And I thought, how come I don't know these men? How come I don't, like, I want to get to know them, not to be on a podcast. The podcast is unbelievable. This is awesome. I didn't even know you guys did a podcast. I saw it and I was
this whole thing.
Now I'm on it. But you guys are unbelievable. Just the culture that you've created around this Life Insurance Academy and what you guys are doing. Well, who wouldn't want to partner with that? Who doesn't want to be a part of that? Who doesn't? Like, you've got a subscriber for life in me, but more than that, how can I help you guys? And I want to give you one more secret. And this is not to building a 7-figure business. This is just to being the person you were created to be. This is my only secret. Albert Einstein said, it's one of his most famous quotes. He said, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. And if you're listening right now and you're in a place of hopelessness, or you're not where you want to be, or you're trying to get to the next level and you can't see how, I'm going to ask you to do something that I ask my kids to do every morning now. I ask my wife to do it. I ask my agents to do it. I'm going to ask you to dream. I ask you to dream big. Albert Einstein, one of the smartest men who ever walked the earth, said imagination more powerful than knowledge. And yet we get somewhere and we want to show people how much we know. I don't want to show people how much I know. I want to show them how big I dream. Mm-hmm. I wake up dreaming. I go to work dreaming. I eat lunch dreaming. I talk to agents dreaming. I call my wife in the middle of the day dreaming. I eat dinner dreaming. I play basketball with my kids dreaming. I go to bed dreaming. I'm always dreaming because dreaming is more powerful than knowledge. And maybe the one thing that you need to do, and like I had to do, was I had to stop being so realistic. And I had to say, you know what? If I can dream it, I can have it. See, Coach Burt taught me you got to go there before you go there. You got to go there in your mind before you go there in the physical. Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, wherever the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. See, I realized if I started dreaming, when I got it from being homeless, when I finally laid my head on a pillow, I laid awake all night, but I was dreaming. And I tell people now, I don't dream. I don't live my dreams. My dreams live me. I don't know if I'm dreaming right now or not, but I thought of this. And I thought when I met Roger that I'm going to be on a podcast. When I met Chris, I started dreaming it and it happened. I didn't call you. You called me, but I wanted to be close to you. I was attracted to you. So all I'm asking people to do is you can have a good culture and you can do good trainings and you can come up on edification. You can have good conversations. But I'm telling you, if you want to be the person you were created to be, you got to dream. Don't stop dreaming. Problem with Marlin Faulkner, 37 years of his life, was I would dream for a day or a week, or even a month. And I would give up on that dream. It got too painful. I'm going to ask you to do one thing. I'm going to ask you to ignore the pain and just keep dreaming. If you don't listen to one thing I say, I was just a homeless guy that's living his dreams now. All I'm going to do is ask you to dream.
It's going to be exciting to hear the stories of those new people who come into your business because of that passion this month. And 2 years from now, have them walk on a stage and say, hey, someone reached into my life and shared an opportunity of a dream and hope that gave me from going from hopeless to hopeful. And this is the result.
Hey, Austin here with Life Insurance Academy. We hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere around here. But hit the subscribe button. We got a lot more videos coming for you. In fact, this video is just a little snippet of the full podcast episode. So if you want to hear the full conversation and dive into those great tips to grow your business, click on the link in the description or search Life Insurance Academy wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Pandora, they're everywhere. But thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video or on the podcast. See ya.